Imagine a place that's built on facts, on evidence, and on the solid ground of history, the courtroom. It's a place where truth is supposed to be absolute. But what happens when the very foundation of an argument is built on a complete fiction?
So picture the scene. A lawyer, completely confident, totally prepared, stands before the court. They are ready to argue their case, and they're armed with what they believe is an absolutely airtight argument.
The argument they present is eloquent, it's powerful, and it's bolstered by legal precedent, citing multiple past court decisions that seem to perfectly back up their client's position. On paper, everything looks perfect. The foundation seems solid as a rock.
That is, until the judge takes a closer look and realizes something is deeply, deeply wrong. The cases, the very bedrock of this entire argument, they're phantoms. None of them are real.
Now, this isn't some hypothetical scenario from a movie. It's the very heart of a real case, Mata versus Avianca Incorporated, a case that sent a massive shockwave through the legal profession because it exposed a profound and very new vulnerability. So how on earth did this happen? Well, it started simply enough. The lawyers on the case used ChatGPT to help with their legal research. And in response, the AI generated a list of legal citations that seemed to perfectly support their argument. The problem? Every single one was a fabrication. As the court soon discovered, the cases that were cited had all the right details, case numbers, names, even judicial reasoning that looked completely legitimate. But they couldn't be found in any legal database. No records, no history, nothing. The AI had essentially created a fictional legal history, a digital phantom. This discovery immediately shifted the entire focus, from the case itself to the conduct of the lawyers. You see, the legal system has these deeply entrenched rules about accuracy and honesty, and this situation, well, it put those rules to the ultimate test. Two fundamental rules of legal practice were violated. First, there's the Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 11, which demands that every single argument be grounded in fact and every citation be real. And second, there's the ABA Model Rule 3.3, this unwavering principle that a lawyer must never, under any circumstances, mislead the court. The lawyer's excuse that an AI was to blame held absolutely no weight with the court, and the consequences were swift and they were serious. Sanctions were imposed, sending a crystal clear message to the entire profession. The judge's ruling delivered this powerful message that reverberates far beyond just this one courtroom. Technology is a tool, not a scapegoat. It does not, and it cannot, absolve a professional of their fundamental duties. In the eyes of the law, the point is really simple. If your name is on the document, you are accountable for every single word. The final responsibility rests, and it must always rest, with the human expert. But this raises a really critical technical question. How could an advanced AI make such a catastrophic error? The answer lies in a phenomenon that is absolutely central to understanding both the power and the peril of these new tools. How could a system that's designed to process just massive amounts of information simply invent facts? It's because large language models don't think or understand truth the way a human does. They're built on a fundamentally different principle. This is what's known as an AI hallucination. When the AI is asked for information it can't actually find, it doesn't say, "I don't know." Instead, it acts like a predictive engine. It just assembles words and phrases that are statistically likely to follow one another. It generates a response that sounds plausible because it's built from patterns, not from facts. And this creates such a stark contrast. A human researcher, they seek factual accuracy. They verify their sources. The AI, on the other hand, is a pattern generation machine. It's designed to create plausible-sounding text, but it has no inherent concept of truth or falsehood. It is a master of imitation, not verification. This single case forces us to look beyond the technology itself and start asking some bigger questions. Questions about the very foundation of our legal system, in an age where the line between real and artificial information is just getting blurrier and blurrier. And this matters profoundly right now because AI tools aren't niche anymore. They're being rapidly adopted by professionals everywhere. The entire legal system is built on one core assumption, that the information being presented has been verified by a human. That assumption is now under direct threat. And this leads to some pretty pressing ethical and regulatory dilemmas. Should there be a rule of transparency? Should lawyers be required to disclose when they've used AI to generate their legal arguments or research?
And what about oversight? Should the courts themselves step in and regulate how these incredibly powerful tools are used in the practice of law? The answers aren't simple, but they are going to define the future of justice.
Ultimately, it all comes down to this. The machinery of justice, it runs on a fuel called trust. Trust that the facts are real, that the sources are legitimate, and that the officers of the court are acting in good faith. Artificial intelligence is an incredibly powerful tool, but as the case of the phantom precedents shows us, it introduces a dangerous new risk. Information that carries all the authority of fact, but is merely a sophisticated illusion. As these tools become more integrated into our world, we're all left to grapple with a pretty fundamental question. In an age of artificial reality, who or what do we trust?